everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Rock is George podcast. You can link to the Rock is George podcast at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge or at rockisgeorge.com. Check out all the other great interviews that I have. I have a couple of Spotify exclusive episodes as well. You can stream the Rock is George podcast on all major podcasting platforms. I have another great interview for you today with an up-and-coming band. They're called the Midnight Devils. They describe themselves as a sleazy party rock and roll band with an old-school punk attitude. Glitter, eyeliner, lipstick, and hairspray throw on for good measure. Kind of a throwback to the Sunset Strip, even though they hail out of Omaha, but I guess the Sunset Strip is slowly moving east. Because if you ask anybody on the Sunset Strip, it ain't what it used to be. So in 2018, the Midnight Devils released their debut self-released album, Something Bigger. The album got enough traction that it led to their signing with a major label. The Midnight Devils are currently working on their follow-up album. It's as yet untitled. And the record label that will be releasing it, you'll find out during the interview. The album is going to be produced by Chip Z Nuff of Enough's Enough. Now you're kind of seeing the connection between Sunset Strip hair bands and the Midnight Devils. Punkish, hairbandish. Yeah, it's a little bit of modern meets the past, I'd say. I spoke with bassist Sam Spade. He is also the vocalist for the band. And here's Sam. If I knew absolutely nothing about Midnight Devils, how would you describe the band's music to me?
The Midnight Devils it's really simple and complicated at the same time. It's a hard rock, party, glam, over-the-top boogie-woogie rock and roll band. That's, in a nutshell, what we do is we're glam. We grew up on bands like Alice Cooper, Kiss, Van Halen, these cool party rock and roll bands, the Ramones, and it's down to earth party music.
How did and when did the Midnight Devils form?
We formed in 2016, kind of out of the ashes of another band. Our guitar player Chris Heinlein, we call him Sniper. Him and I were in a band together, and we wanted to put something out that was different and something that was unique, and we kind of grew, or we were in an 80s tribute band, and we thought we could do that, but do it on our own terms and be our own kind of shot callers. And that's kind of how the Midnight Devils grew. We booked a tour down to Rocklahoma, and our drummer at the time bailed out on us. And that's how we got Jimmy Mess on drums. Jimmy said, yeah, I'll do it. Come to Chicago, pick me up. And we finished the rest of the tour with Jimmy Mess as our drummer and never looked back.
Is there a story behind the band's name?
There's a story. It comes from a song. So the song is called Midnight Devils. And it's kind of that idea of Friday night, right as the sun's going down, say 8 o'clock on a Friday night. It's that kind of that feeling you get as you're starting to get geared up to go out with your friends and go out and rip the town apart. It's that anticipation, that excitement, that feeling that whatever is going to happen, it's going to be an adventure. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it's going to be, you know that there's going to be a story tomorrow that you're going to be talking about.
Your latest album is called Something Bigger. You guys self-released it. Let's talk a little bit about the singles that you've released. You want to talk a little bit about the song Pink Halo?
Yeah, Pink Halo it's one of those boogie woogie songs, right in the vein of Faster Pussycat, kind of borrowing off the Elvis Jerry Lewis formula. But it's a true story about a few girls that I knew in Omaha, and I think that when you write songs like that, you're not necessarily trying to pinpoint one person, but make it a general overall statement, because a lot of people have gone through the exact same things that we've gone through, and a lot of our songs come from very true places and stuff that's happened to us while we're on the road. And Pink Halo is just another one of those boogie woogie ass shaking rock and roll songs.
So, all right, how about Generation Dirt?
Generation Dirt, that was the first song that I had written by myself coming out of rehab. Actually, I went to rehab for I drank myself into a coma, and that was the first song that had kind of come out of that, like the healing process or whatever. And that's more of like a power song. We end the night with that song every night, but it's kind of like a reassurance that we're not going anywhere. This is who we are. No matter you like it, you hate it, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do our own thing, and everybody else, we don't really care about. We're gonna do it our own way.
Are you the primary lyricist as far as the band goes?
As far as lyrics go, yes, I do most of the lyrics. Chris Sniper does a few songs, and he's usually the he's kind of the musical director of this group. So he'll bring in a lot of the music for the songs, and we kind of collaborate that way. Where I'll write the lyrics, he'll write the music, and we find that the best songs that we write are the songs that we kind of collaborate on. So not one person, writing one song. It comes out okay, but the best ones are when we work together.
Are you planning on releasing any more singles before you get to your next album?
No. So what we got going on now is over quarantine, we signed with Pavement Music, which is a label out of Chicago. It's the first time that we've been signed to a label, and we decided that, we kind of wanted to up the game and push ourselves, push our limits. So on this new record, we had Chip Z Nuff produce it out there in Chicago, and we're going to be releasing the single for that record as soon as it's ready to go. It's being mixed right now by Chris Diamonds at Stonecutter Studios, who did a Kiss record. So we got like all these guys in our corner that are really bringing the heat. So we had to kind of step up and write some really good songs and push what we can do. Being on a major label now, I think it's kind of it's our first step out into the big boy world.
Was Pavement responsible for bringing Chip Z Nuff on board to produce the album?
It was kind of a collaboration, really, between. So we've been working really hard with Chuck at Artists Worldwide, which is a booking agency out of LA, and I had so much trouble finding a label. Every label said no. Frontiers Records said no 10 times, and Golden Robot was like, "You guys are too glam. It's too much for me." All these labels said no, and Chuck at Artists Worldwide said, "Hey, I think I got this guy that might be interested." And Tim from Pavement said, "You know what? I actually get you guys. You guys are it's a cross. It's punk rock, it's street rock and roll, it's glam. I understand what you guys are doing. I love it." So he was really the only guy that kind of got what we were doing. And turns out he's friends with Chip as well. Our drummer Jimmy was roommates with Chip, and we had done a bunch of touring with him in the past. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to go with Chip, and it just happened that everybody was kind of already familiar with each other and friends already. So it was really a mutual thing.
So have you guys settled on a title for the new album?
We do have a title, but we have not announced it yet. And I just looked at the album artwork. We finally got the finished album artwork yesterday with the title on it and everything. We just haven't had a chance to release it yet.
I gotcha. Are you planning a fall release or a winter release or early next year?
It's tough, in this climate. I'm sure you talk to a ton of bands that are on the same page as us. When do you release a record? We knew a lot of people that released records in March of 2020 that just kind of had to bite the bullet on it. So you're kind of just up against, what do you do? Well, we don't want to release a record without having a tour to back it. I think that's the way that that bands in our position sell the most records, is out on tour. So we kind of are waiting and biding our time till we think things are opening up. We got a big tour scheduled for early 2022, so we're kind of looking in that time frame.
So in the meantime, you have managed to play a few shows live. You were out there with the London Choir Boys, and you out there posting shows from your live performances and stuff like that. How has it been getting back out there and touring after taking a year and a half off?
It's incredible. I love it so much. I love being on the road, and I think that where the Midnight Devils shine is on the road. We're a hardworking road band, and that's really what. For some reason, we just love being in the van, traveling down the road. We went to Florida, from Nebraska to Florida for 2 shows, and it was a 24-hour drive. We did it twice, and it was brutal, but it was so cool, and the shows were worth it. We were opening for supporting Yngwie Malmsteen out there in Florida, and it was just incredible experience to finally be back doing what we love to be doing.
Did you have the chance to speak with Ingve at all?
I talked to him a couple times, but nothing much over, hey, how are you doing? He's an interesting one, but he liked us, and we're going back out there in November again too. So it's a cool experience and an honor to actually be opening up for a legend like that.
You're going to be touring soon with another 80s metal legend, Loudness.
Yeah, that's the one that's scheduled for early 2022. And that is, if everything goes well, it's been rescheduled twice already. So we've been on this Loudness tour for almost 2 years now, and it just keeps getting pushed back. So we're leaving. We head actually to Texas here in 5 days. We're going to be opening for Pretty Boy Floyd in Texas for 4 shows. So that's going to be a huge one of honor. I had the Pretty Boy Floyd posters on my wall, and now we're going to be playing with those guys in Texas for 4 shows.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I kind of look at your imagery and I kind of see Pretty Boy Floyd more than I see like Poison.
Absolutely, Pretty Boy Floyd. That was like that was a game changer, especially for me. Our drummer Jimmy Mess actually played with Pretty Boy Floyd for 7 months, I believe. So I think he made the official Wikipedia page as a drummer in Pretty Boy Floyd. But but yeah, those guys and those songs, that songwriting style, that Steve has. It's what we grew up on, and now we actually get the chance to go out and do it. And I would text people and be like, "You're never gonna guess what happened. This is super nerdy, but I made the artwork for the tour, and Steve shared it on his page. I never thought 16-year-old me would have never thought that would even be a possibility. You always dream about it, but when you finally see it happen, you're just like, this is really cool, really nerdy, but really cool.
Nah, nothing wrong with that. It's nice. It's nice meeting your heroes, and sometimes it's not so nice.
It was the same with the Choir Boys, though. Like, I grew up watching those Hard and Heavy VHS tapes. I don't know if you remember those at all.
Oh, yeah.
But the Choir Boys, they did one where they were playing at Donington in front of, 100,000 people. And the next thing you know, we're opening up for them, sitting at a bar talking about our families to Spike from the Choir Boys. It's kind of that weird rock and roll dynamic that, dreams come true still.
Hey guys, Rock is George here, breaking in for, you guessed it, the Rock is George whiskey break. These whiskey companies and scotch companies and rye companies don't give me any sort of endorsement or any free product. I'm just a whiskey aficionado. I like to collect, I like to sample, I got a lot of bottles, and I like to share my opinions and appreciation of whiskey with you, the listeners. Because rock and roll and whiskey, it's a match made in heaven. This week I have a brand new whiskey. I haven't even tried this. I just broke the seal on the bottle right now. NFL Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw has gotten into the bourbon business with his 212 blend. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Terry Bradshaw, of course, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's 4-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time MVP. 212 touchdown passes, hence the 212 blend. 3 Pro Bowl appearances. He's in the Hall of Fame. I believe he does announcing. He has a reality TV show. He raises horses. The guy is busy. He's busy for a Super Bowl champion. One of the greats. So, as Bradshaw describes his bourbon, born in the heart of Kentucky bourbon country, it's distilled by a 3rd-generation master distiller. That would be the great-grandchild or grandchild of a master distiller. At one of the oldest distilleries in the nation. They don't say which one. The whiskey is 51.9% alcohol by volume, and that's a tribute to Terry Bradshaw's passing completion rate. I don't know how they dialed it in at 51.9%, but they did. It's a serious bourbon for the ages, they say, and it should have the same respect as its namesake. The bourbon is taken from barrels aging from 2 to 3 years. Bradshaw also has a rye version available. I didn't see it at the store. And this particular bourbon gets 91 points in Wine Enthusiast magazine. And I'll tell you, that may mean something, but I have had some 75 rated whiskeys that are damn good. So, this is described as having vanilla, toffee, banana, and leather notes, cinnamon and baking spices, yada, yada, yada. You may taste that, you may not. So let's give it a try. I have it poured in the glass already. It doesn't have a very strong smell. Even putting my nose in it, I can feel a strong kind of alcohol. That must be the 51.9% that I smell there. Let's give it a try. Ooh, I like that. Wow. It's got some good spice to it, even though it's not a rye. It's got that sweet toffiness, caramelness that you find in most bourbons. It's really good. You know, sometimes these celebrity alcohols aren't so great. It's just a name, but clearly Bradshaw picked a winner here, and that could be due to the 2 to 3 years of aging. If it was just like a quick 6 months or a year, it wouldn't taste the same. But that's great. Highly recommended as a sipping bourbon straight up. You can have that on the rocks. That'd be pretty tasty too. Bradshaw Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey 212 blend. It's a winner. It's a great winner. And it's only $40, so pick yourself up a bottle. Let's get back to Sam Spade of the Midnight Devils. So you talked about meeting a couple of people that influenced you that were kind of positive experiences. Have you run across any of your heroes that didn't live up to your standard that you had in your head?
I haven't yet. Not that I can think of.
That's good.
I really can't, like, and I kind of pride myself on really, we get along with most bands out there because I think we're all in this together. You know, nobody's got the time to hate other bands. It's just not in the cards for us. There are certain bands on our level that we, for some reason, don't get along with, but overall, generally, you know, the Midnight Devils, we get along with everybody. We're out there to have a good time, just like everybody else.
When you played Rocklahoma in 2018, was it still the kind of hairband 80s, 90s festival, or had it already started shifting towards the more commercial stuff that they're doing now?
It had already shifted, and that I'm glad that's such a good question. You know, not a lot of people know this, but Rocklahoma started as a hair metal, primarily a glam rock festival, and when we had played it a couple years prior, and it was still very open, and it was still very fan friendly. And then 2018, it had completely shifted, and we were the only glam band that was on the bill, and it worked in our advantage though, because we put the makeup on and walked around with our hair, you know, teased up to the sky, and people loved it. People stopped us. We couldn't go anywhere. There were so many pictures being taken that I think people missed it, and we were the only ones representing that style of music at Rocklahoma. Still, same with this year. We're just like, man, where were those bands that we all love? It kind of switched when Live Nation took over.
Were people kind of surprised you were a newer glam band? Were they kind of approaching you like, hey, I missed you guys in 1989? How come I haven't heard of you?
Yeah, absolutely. And people are so receptive. They love it. They absolutely, because nobody's got the balls to wear lipstick and makeup around, just walking around a normal day. And we're like, yeah, this is us. We're going to do this. And people latch on. It's an incredible feeling to kind of witness and see. We call ourselves like not necessarily a new generation or the next wave, but that's what it is. We're the guys that are kind of taking over after, what happens when Def Leppard and Motley Crue, all those bands kind of disappear. Who's going to be left? It's us. We're the ones that are doing it still. We're out, doing one-nighters in cities all across the country. And so the people at Rocklahoma, they recognize that. They recognize the realness, and they loved it. It was, we played in front of thousands of people there. They just absolutely went crazy because it's old and familiar, but new still.
Exactly. And there's sort of a demographic there when it at least comes to Rocklahoma and that sort of style that you play. And most of the consumers of music, or disposable incomes, if you will, are into that 70s, 80s, 90s sound.
Yeah. And the cool thing is about this band is that there's not really, I find myself thinking about that too. Like, okay, who are the people that we're playing to? And I get surprised every time, especially in bigger cities where it's not older people that grew up on this stuff. It's young kids that are still out there partying every night of the week, going to the bars, because we're so different and so unique and so visual that it kind of brings everybody in, no matter what style of music, no matter what sexuality you identify as, no matter what you do, what color you are. It's all about the party, all about that good time, and it doesn't really matter at this point what age you are or what you're into. We welcome everybody in with open arms.
Do you think that this is a style or a genre of music that could possibly make a comeback on the radio, or do you think that it's doing just fine playing out in the local clubs and bars?
That is such a good question, and I don't know. Radio is so weird. And so kind of where I came from is FM radio is what I was doing for a job for a while, and I don't know that anything's breaking into FM radio. It's very very program directed and very the same, very commercial. So I just don't know. I think there is a calling and a drive in this style of music and a realness that people love. That it's that real dangerous rock and roll unpredictability that people really love. And I don't see that in a lot of the newer acts that are coming out. I don't see the professionalism, that kind of nod to the guys that came before us, but we're still doing it our own way. I do think that there's room to grow, and that nobody's doing it like we are, and that really the sky's the limit on what we want to do and what we want, the goals that we want to achieve, especially knowing that we got signed to a label. I mean, we were going to do it ourselves anyways, but now that we got kind of a label backing, I think it's a really cool thing, and it's an opportunity that we don't plan on wasting.
Do you have any other musical ventures outside of the Midnight Devils, or does this pretty much consume all your time?
This is pretty much it. This is what I do every day. I do DJ. The other musical venture that I have is I DJ at strip clubs during the when we're not touring. So that's kind of my the backup when we're home, is that I'm DJing. So I'm heavily involved in music, but as far as putting out music, it's fully the Midnight Devils. That's all the time I have to focus on.
Okay, so you DJ at a strip club. Why don't you get the band to perform at the strip club? It seems like you guys would fit in perfectly.
We actually do. In Omaha, there's our home bar in Omaha is called American Dream, and it is a strip club and a rock venue all in one. And so when we do our homecoming shows or our tour kickoff shows, we always start at American Dream and really blow it up, invite all the strippers down to the show, and everybody just gets crazy all together. It's wild, absolutely mayhem.
Yeah, now that's more like it right there.
It's cool, cool setting, man. You couldn't ask for a better place to have a show than a strip club.
Absolutely, especially for your style of music and your style of your look. That you got everything. You had the strippers. It's like bang. Now you got to find a way to take them on tour.
That I don't think I haven't thought about that. I've had strippers go, "You want me to hire me to come dance on your stage during the shows?" I'm like, "This is a good idea. This is a really good idea." And you should see the way that the normal average everyday strip club customer comes into a bar on a Saturday night, didn't realize the Midnight Devils were playing. Now he's got all these guys dressed in makeup and glitter and all these drag queens and everything, and strippers, the whole 9 yards. It's just a scene. It's a wild.
See, the way you got to do it, instead of paying one to follow you around or two to follow you around, you got to go to all the local strip clubs and hire them for the night.
I think Kiss did that. I think Kiss did that on the Revenge tour.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right on that one.
Yep.
So besides the second album in the works and your two little tours or anything like that, you guys got anything else going on?
We're looking at doing Europe. Europe is the next huge hurdle on the list, and that kind of is all coming down to COVID and everything like that. So that's the major goal is get the Midnight Devils overseas, and really I think there's a calling, and that music, our style of music, glam rock, has a bigger audience overseas in Europe, and so our goal is to get over there. I think that's every band's goal, is to get out of the States and become an international rock band.
And then you can give the big middle finger to the European labels that passed on you?
Absolutely. I was thinking about sending them sending them copies of the new CD and just being like, thank you, God bless.
That's the classy way, of course. Well, Sam, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for appearing on the Rock is George podcast.
Hey, George, thank you so much. I appreciate it, taking the time to talk to me, and great questions. Really, I loved it.
That was Sam Spade of the band The Midnight Devils. I want to thank Sam once again for coming on the Rock is George podcast. You could check out the Midnight Devils at their website, midnightdevils.com. Check out their social medias. Stream their current album, Something Bigger, in anticipation of the second album, which is probably going to be something bigger. I want to thank Bob Long for sending Sam my way. We had a great time chatting, and I'll tell you, people, Facebook is a great way to connect with people. You've been great. I've been George Dion, and I'll see you again soon.